Is Idaho turning blue? That's the question for the day. Maybe that's been keeping you up at night. If so, you're in the right spot. Dave and I are going to break it down for you today. We're going to talk about politics in Idaho. I know it's a touchy subject, but here we go. Hey guys, remember, if you're looking to move here, or if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, tap the notifications bell. That'll keep you up to date on all of our latest content, and we put out a ton of content. And if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, give us a holler. We would love to help you out with that. All right, let's jump into the political side of things. Here we go. First off, I'm going to start. I did a little research on this, and I hit up my handy friend ChatGPT.
That's always a good idea.
Sometimes it's fun to see what info you get out of there, and it's funny to notice how left-leaning in AI can be. So I had to read this to you directly. So from ChatGPT, I asked if Idaho was turning blue, and it said, Idaho's political landscape is still largely dominated by conservative and far-right ideologies, particularly in northern, that's here, and rural areas. The state has seen an increase in extremist groups and Christian nationalist movements. What's a Christian nationalist, Dave?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know either. Which have further solidified its conservative base. Additionally, the Idaho GOP has expressed concerns about ranked choice voting, potentially weakening Republican dominance by allowing more moderate or independent candidates to gain traction. So, ChatGPT sees us as far-right extremists up here in North Idaho.
White supremacists, extremists, everything else like that.
Bunch of nonsense. Bunch of wonderful people up here. I don't think there's anything wrong with being Christian. So
yeah, there's some sort of, for some reason, I mean, Idaho is very, very red, right? We vote very conservative. If you're moving to this area, we talk about it all the time. You have to understand that that is the political climate up here. Like it or not, people don't want you to come in and change those things. And I think that's okay. I think that's something that's looked down upon. Even being an American nowadays, you see these professional athletes, turning their back on the flag, doing these things. It's not cool to be proud of who you are and what you believe in. And I think that's I think you should be able to be proud of the fact that you are a Christian. If you're another faith, that's fine. In fact, you're welcome. And that's your right here in America. But just because there is a concentration of that does not mean that it's a bad area. We don't have the white supremacy. That is something that has been debunked for a long time. There used to be white supremacist groups up here. Happily, that guy, I can't even remember his name.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because,
his name.
Yeah, who cares? His house was leveled to the ground and now is part of NIC campus. We're happy about that.
And honestly, if you're that person turning your back on the flag or burning the flag, those people have never served. They've never served the country. They've never served the public in any capacity. Our entire team, we all have a public service background or veterans or both. And we take that pretty damn seriously. So those people.
That's a good way to feel uncomfortable in North Idaho is turning your back on the flag or doing something to disrespect the U.S. That just is not something that is welcome in our community.
Nope.
Deal with it.
It's okay to love your country.
Yep.
Hey, on that note, let's jump into some statistics, and these are actually true. So as of mid-2024, Idaho has over 1 million registered voters. That's a bit shy of how many people live here. We're close to 2 million in population.
Yep.
I don't know how many are voting age. But of those, approximately 59% are registered as Republicans, 13% as Democrats, and 27% as unaffiliated. So 13% Democrats. That's pretty low.
That is pretty low, but they're concentrated too.
They are. And that's where things get sticky because a lot of those happen to be in the Boise area, which is the largest metropolitan area in the state. My fear is that Idaho down the road could go the same route as, say, Washington, Oregon, California, where these large cities with the biggest populations, which all tend to be blue, they make the decisions for the state, unfortunately. So those conservatives living in the outlying areas, enjoying the freedoms of living in rural areas, are getting dictated by these people in these homeless-run, horrible.
And that's the truth. I mean, if you look historically, anytime that you get a lot of people together, large cities, people disagree. I mean, there's so many laws being passed. It's crazy. Just so you know, the day that it is, last night was Biden's announcement of his endorsement of Kamala after they brought him back to life. And basically, he said a couple things last night, like our border is more secure than it's ever been, all sorts of statistics that I can't handle it. But the truth is that there is such a push from the liberal side and from larger cities to have more influence in your lives. And the truth is, Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. Everybody agrees that they don't want somebody coming in their house and telling them how to live their lives, so that you can't, what did Kamala say, that Kamala say the other day, is that she wants to ban paper straws. I don't know if that was a joke, or plastic straws. Yeah, that's too much government influence. So if you don't want to see Idaho turn blue, stop enacting government law. Stop calling the cops because your friend or the neighbor is shooting off fireworks. The more that you get law enforcement and the government involved just leads to more regulation and more influence on your life day to day. And that's what we see happening down in Boise right now.
Also, this should be noted because we hear this a lot. Don't California my Idaho, don't move here, and blah, 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 blah. Bunch of nonsense. Check it out. 75% of new Idaho voters from California registered as Republicans. So Californians moving here are actually turning the state more red.
Yep.
So if you're that cranky dude living up in the hills and you're mad at Californians and you don't get out to vote, shame on you, first of all. But know that most of the people moving here are conservative and do want to keep the same values that we have here, right? I get it. As population increases, that does invite more challenges. Home prices go up, things like that. And it can make it less desirable than 40 years ago when you grew up. However, just keep in mind, it's becoming more red, except for Boise.
Right. And so the next statistic on here is talking about primary election turnout. Primary election turnout in Idaho is at 24%. That's 1 out of every 4 people actually go to the polls to vote. That's ridiculous. That's what made America what it is the fact that you have the right to vote on how your life and how the laws and everything else that govern us are put together. Get to the polls. If we don't get people, the problem is, and I see this mostly, this is a red problem, I think.
Yes.
Is that, the left side for a long time has been very vocal and they make it to the polls. I feel like there's a lot of people that live in North Idaho specifically to where life up here is really good. It's an armed society, which is a polite society. William Kirk says that. And it is. We have less crime. We don't have the drugs that you find other places. It's really nice up here. But the problem is people get comfortable and they don't go to the polls because they go, well, it's mostly conservative. They don't think that there's this need, and that's crap. We cannot live in a country where only 1 out of every 4 people vote.
Yeah, and that's statewide. I think Kootenai County, which is where Coeur d'Alene is located in North Idaho, was closer to 14% for the primaries this year, which is abysmal and it's shameful. So if you are that person that lives up here and you're complaining about things and you don't vote, you're the problem. So get out and vote and make sure that we keep things politically the way that we want them. If the people all unify their voice, there are plenty of us up here, then we can build a society and maintain a society the way that we like. Let's jump into Boise a little bit more. So we touched on it. The problem with Boise, it's a large urban population, and that tends to attract certain policies. I don't know what it is, but I made this comment on YouTube recently, and I had someone, of course, from the left attack me because I said said that large urban populations that are liberal, which is pretty much every big city at this point, they are what cause homelessness. Like those policies are what cause homelessness. And this person attacked me and said, no, it's nothing to do with the policies of the city. I'm like, well, and that correlation doesn't always mean causation, but it sure seems like it in that instance. Yep. And I don't know exactly what that is, but you're starting to see a little bit of that in Boise. When you go down there, you'll see there is a homeless population there. It's definitely not nearly as bad as some of these other states.
Spokane.
Right, or Spokane, yeah. But it's there. And once that gets a foothold, it's very hard to get rid of.
Yep.
So I think we're starting to see that a little bit in Boise. So if you are moving to that area, it's extremely critical that you vote in the right way. That's a capital R, right way, so that we don't head down that road. It's more important than anywhere else in the state, because we certainly in North Idaho don't want to be governed by a city that's 7 hours away and has nothing to do with our way of living.
And since we're here firing people up, because I'm sure some people are watching this and losing their minds, you compare Coeur d'Alene to Spokane. There is a vast difference. If you want to walk downtown Coeur d'Alene and downtown Spokane, you're going to see a vast difference in how life is. A lot of people will say, well, it's because Spokane is a little older or bigger. No, it's because it's political activism that has taken over that place. And that's what the policies dictate. Look, I'll tell you that there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. People say that Idaho, they don't care about the people. They don't care about the homeless. That's not true. Most of the people that I talk to, I see a lot of programs and a lot of people that are empathetic towards people that don't have as much. Maybe they're homeless, maybe they're on drugs. And the difference between empathy and sympathy is that when you're empathetic towards people is that you understand that they have a hard life. You understand that it's hard to be homeless, to not have funds, to not have those things. And people are willing to help people and be empathetic. Sympathetic means you just feel bad for people. And that's kind of a liberal policy that you see all over the place. People feel sympathetic, they feel bad for somebody, and so they give them things. You don't see that. There's not a lot of programs in Idaho that allow people to just take advantage of the system. And so you don't see those activities over here.
Yeah, you're just enabling that population if you are just handing things out all the time and not having any accountability. So that needs to go hand in hand. And I'm pretty sure we have accountability over here in Idaho, especially with our homeless and those that are addicted to drugs. So that's the important difference.
And because of our law enforcement. Our law enforcement does not play games with people over here. If you break the law, you go to jail. And that's what it is. I mean, it's not something to where they give a lot of gray area. If you're over here, you bring drugs, you hurt people, you steal things, you go to jail. That is an activity that we support over here in Idaho, is that if you break the law, you go to jail. There are consequences.
And I think that's why we get calls all the time from cops from other states that are just tired of not being able to do the job that they signed up for. And they start looking at cities or states like Idaho where, hey, yeah, you can still do the job, protect the community, be an important part, a loved part of the community, and do that job that you signed up for. It's like all day long. Guys are taking big pay cuts to do that, and it's worth it to them because then they can raise their family in a good place like North Idaho.
Yep. And any of you that are law enforcement that are moving up to this area, we have contacts with all the law enforcement fire agencies up here. We'd love to put you in contact with people that can at least give you more information about local law enforcement or any of these agencies. And we appreciate you wanting to come up here and actually serve the community the way that you signed up to do.
Yep. So just to recap, things that you can do, make sure that you get out and vote. Don't call cops for every little thing, right? Sometimes you got to put your big boy pants on and go talk to your neighbor and handle things. I'm not saying violence, just a conversation. That usually can solve most problems. You don't need to call the cops for that, because the more you do that kind of stuff, and we're both former cops, so this is not anti-law enforcement. This is anti-nanny state. We don't want to live in a nanny state, okay? No. So don't be ratting everybody out. Just handle your problems like an adult. Talk to your neighbors. That's it. Easy.
Yep.
So overall, is Idaho turning blue? I think we kind of touched on it. Negative. If you look at the numbers of registered voters, it is actually becoming more red. But like I said, Boise is the sticky situation here, and it's something that needs to be paid attention to. So if you're moving here, especially if you're moving down to the Boise area, make sure that you do that one important thing and go out and vote and educate yourself on who is running for office, because sometimes you get a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's important to kind of understand these people. That's why we like to have a lot of politicians come on our podcast, so we can sit down and talk to them for an hour and a half and really start to understand that person, who they are as a whole.
And if you don't like this podcast because you vote blue and that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And by the way, we have great agents in Portland, Washington, and other places that we can send you, beautiful places to live. So if you don't agree with this and you'd like to go somewhere else, we're here to help.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's okay to disagree. We don't have to hate each other. Thanks, Dave.
Done.
See you next time.